Hi, everyone. My name is Ty Adams. Welcome to TRA Marketplace 2020. Thank you for joining us today for I Did It My Way, doing your own restaurant delivery. Please feel free to ask questions throughout by putting them in the Q&A window below. But without further delay, I'm excited to introduce our Big Ben stage sponsor, Texas Mutual.
Mutual will distribute $330 million in dividends to eligible policyholders 2 months ahead of schedule. We're also sending $2 million to nonprofits on the front lines of the COVID-19 effort. Better days are coming, but in the meantime, we'll be on the job helping Texas businesses. To learn how dividends are supporting employers in this time of need, go to texasmutual.com/dividends.
To kick this session off, I'd like to introduce my moderator for this session, Mr. David Denny. David.
Hey, thanks, Ty. Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you joining us today so that we can get down into the nitty-gritty of delivering food and beverage and the new paradigm. I refuse to say the new normal because I don't want it to be normal. I want it to be temporary. So the current paradigm, and for those of you who've heard me speak before, that's how I say it. So anyway, without further ado, just so you know even why I'm here, I'm just here to lead the discussion. As Ty said, I'm just the moderator. I'm currently the president of the Greater Dallas chapter and have been working very directly with multiple restaurateurs for the past 150 days of hell. And as we're all navigating, one of the things that people have had to deal with is either learn how to do delivery, learn how to do third-party delivery, or modify their existing relationships with third-party delivery companies, and none of that has been easy. So we've seen people who are traditionally fine dining pivot into sandwiches and everything under the sun. And so, again, this is just a testament to everybody's resilience during this crazy time. And you've all been amazing. And I can't wait to hear from some of these panelists about, all these panelists about how they do it. And hopefully you guys who have not done your own delivery or may be doing it and want to do it better can learn some stuff. So let's get on with it. In fact, I'll start. I don't know how you guys have your boxes arranged, but I'll start with, I'm going to start with Michael LaMarca. The box is shifted, so now he's first. So Michael, introduce yourself to the panel, to the attendees, and sort of let us know what your business is and how long you've been doing delivery.
Thank you for having me. I'm Michael LaMarca. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I have a pizza chain that has 12 locations, and we have pickup, dine-in, and delivery. So we've had our delivery model since probably early 2002, 2003. So we've been working on our delivery model since then, improving it as we've gone to the point where it's probably the biggest part of our business now. So we like to consider ourselves a company, one of the words, our culture that was asked about, we're kind of a leadership company. We really like to take our people that work for us and with us and develop them as best we can as leaders, future leaders of our company, or future leaders for themselves in whatever path they choose. So again, we're a pizza place here in Cleveland, Ohio.
That's great. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to have so many out-of-state people joining the marketplace this year. It has really provided a great opportunity for people across the country to have some learning opportunities. So we're really appreciative of you joining us today. Let's jump over to Angel Sang. Did I say your name right? I feel like I did.
Yeah, Angel Sang. I am the co-founder and CTO of So Chinese Delivery here in Austin, Texas. We are a Chinese restaurant that only does delivery and takeout. And we only accept orders online on our website. I'd like to say that we're probably one of the only few Chinese restaurants that also write our own code. I'm the CTO, and we have our own team of developers. And we do primarily delivery. That's why our name is So Chinese Delivery. And one of the things that, or a couple of things that actually set us apart is we own our own cars. But in addition to that, we don't charge any delivery fees whatsoever. And we don't accept tips. We have a no tipping policy. And so we have 2 locations right now in Austin and lots of plans to grow even further.
That's excellent. It's exciting. Can't wait to hear about how you guys have accomplished some of that. And I see that you opened your 2nd location in the fall of 2019. Surprise. Good timing.
Yeah. And a 3rd one on track by the end of the year. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Keep plugging away. This it'll get better. And let's jump over to your co-founder, Min Cho. Min, introduce yourself too.
Hi, everyone. I actually would like to start off by saying thank you to the TRA. I've been glued to the emails during the COVID pandemic, and it's been absolutely instrumental in helping us navigate the PPP and the EIDL loans and things like that. And so the amount of information that came out of the TRA was instrumental to us making sure that we were going to qualify and get the loans on time and things. So it's been fantastic. So thank you to TRA and everyone that's been a part of that organization. Yes, I'm Min Cho. I'm the CEO and co-founder with Angel at So Chinese Delivery. I'm going to echo a lot of the things that Angel said. We are a delivery and takeout only restaurant concept where we take a tremendous amount of pride in serving what we call authentically Chinese American cuisine. We do consider ourselves to be this tech first company, and so the restaurant side of things is driven by a real robust and custom e-commerce type platform that really Angel has developed with his developers. Our tech stack is predicated on owning the entire vertical chain, all the way from the online ordering platform to the dispatch and kitchen logistics, the delivery management, full control over the last mile delivery, which means also, we own our own fleet of cars and employ our own in-house drivers too. So as mentioned, we are 2 stores strong now. We plan on having the 3rd, 4th, and 5th stores up and running by the end of next year.
That's great. I love that you've stuck with your timeline.
Right.
Perseverance at all costs.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Ernie Keelantan, who is a board member with me in Dallas and is a former Dallas Association president. He has a great Tex-Mex restaurant I'm gonna let him tell you about. But Ernie, introduce yourself to the attendees and tell us about eBar.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ernie Keelantan, owner operator of eBar Tex-Mex here in the old East Dallas area. We've been open since 2012, and during that time, this was kind of a pre-development area, so we weren't in a area that had a lot of restaurants. So when we opened, delivery was not part of our business model, and the main reason why we started, we opened in August of 2012. December of 2012, I said, well, you know what, I'm going to join Grubhub and see what happens. And mostly at that time, since I wasn't paying myself anything, I said, well, you know what, I can use some pocket change, earning some tips. So that's kind of was the gist of joining Grubhub and see what happens. But 3 months later, kind of March, April, I was in big trouble in a good way, because I was the only driver doing 40 or 50 deliveries a day. So I had no idea that this was going to go that direction. So again, like the other guys, we have our own in-house drivers now, our own vehicles, and definitely the guys definitely do take pride in what they do. So that's that part of our opening. But now, as far as our culture and what we do, and our guys, our culture is loyalty and togetherness, and we do have employees that have been here since day one. We have such low turnover, and they definitely love doing what they do. So we're we're very lucky as an operator that I have these people. So I wouldn't be able to do it now.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining us. I know a little bit more about your delivery story than the other guys, and I just love picturing you in the truck driving food around and just not being able to get all the tickets taken care of. I just love the idea. So before we start talking about delivery, because I feel like this is a potential learning opportunity for some of the people that have joined us today, just really briefly, let's go around and I would like to get just from each one of you, just what's the most, and it could be monetary, it could be personal, it could be whatever. What is the most significant impact you feel like COVID has had on your business, whether it's delivery or otherwise? I'll share with you the Zoom background that I've been using during COVID is my personal dumpster fire. So I stopped using it after we moved out of the panic and into what I consider to be the recovery phase. But why don't we visit just for a second about how it's impacted you and where you're going from here. Michael, you want to start us off?
Sure. So for myself and my company, for us, the biggest impact was it got us recentered. Before the shutdown or the lockdown and before COVID, we're all entrepreneurs and our minds are probably going a million miles an hour in a million different directions. And for this, it really focused us on what we do and really put some blinders on us to focus on just what we do and really maximize our procedures, our policies, and our best practices for how we run our business day to day. Because the challenge that came to us was, a whole bunch of new procedures and practices were dumped on us, if you will. You know what I mean? In one day, so many different procedures, and we just said, like, how could we do what we do and implement all these new practices? And so we said, let's just focus on what we do, not introduce anything else. Don't introduce any new products, new items, new procedures. Let's just take what we do and add these new procedures on top of that. And it's worked for us. We feel like our company is hitting stride. We're all rowing in the same direction. We feel like we got kind of a company focus, and and I don't want to say it's, I try to find the good in everything. And I think if that's possible in this world that we live in today, I feel like that we've kind of gotten all on the same train together, going in the same direction, and really focused on safety, our product, our presentation, how we run our day-to-day business. So that's one of the things I've taken out from this pandemic.
That's great. That'll serve you guys for years. Angel and Min, how about you guys? What's been the most significant impact that COVID?
I'll let Min talk about like financial impact, negative impacts on things like catering. But I think that actually the impact as a society on a whole, when it comes to restaurants and delivery, has been overall positive. I think what it's done is it's opened minds to the thought of getting delivery to individuals and families that may not have had that been part of their family culture or family habit. And I think that's a permanent change. I believe that once that can has been opened, you can't close it. And moving forward, even after the crisis is quote unquote over, the culture of ordering for delivery, I think, has expanded. Our response in terms of the impact is that like people were at home. So we knew that the impact was that people were going to be online a lot. So a lot of we took the opportunity to spend a lot of time and money on marketing, especially digital marketing. And so I took it upon myself to learn all about Facebook ads, targeting audiences, custom audiences. And, because we have an online website and it's e-commerce basically, we were able to start honing our audiences to the people who are working at home, and getting, like audiences that were lookalikes of our already previously successful purchasers on our website, and then targeting new customer acquisition with those custom audiences. And it's proven to be incredibly successful. And so, like, I think that's what's changed a lot, is the impact is people are home a lot, people are online a lot, and that gives you the opportunity to take the reins and beat out other people in terms of ad dollars and reach those eyeballs.
That's great.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Michael was saying, it's really helped us recenter as an organization and as a hospitality group. We really refocused the corporate and non-corporate culture at So. So, for example, our corporate culture is really designed on servicing the employees before anyone else. We're a big believer that if you take care of your employees first, they'll reciprocate that and to the customers and to the company. A mantra we have at So is that as you climb up the proverbial ladder, your responsibility to serve our employees of the company first and foremost increases, just unilaterally. Our work culture outside of the corporate domain was really inspired from another software company that incidentally Angel used to work at. And that is to ask, how can I help? Every action and reaction should lead with this attitude of how can you provide assistance and be helpful? The actual direct impact of COVID, like many other restaurants, we were very concerned for our sales. We did see a complete loss of all of our catering activity, but our online sales were doing reasonably well, all things considered. So we decided to take extreme proactive measures to really try to stay ahead of the pandemic as well as we could. We did launch our charitable arm called So Giving, which has been extremely impactful. And since April, we've actually been able to give away over $100,000 in food to the Austin community, which has been really rewarding for us too. The culmination of all this, the net results is that our sales today are up about 75% over the pre-COVID months. And so, I would say overall the biggest impact on our business is that now we have a much stronger commitment to the marketing, including connecting with the community, the marketing technology that Angel spoke about, and also exploring other less traditional marketing efforts too.
That's amazing. And congrats on the charitable component of that. That's been fantastic. It's been really great to see so many nonprofit and donative opportunities come up during COVID from really unexpected places. And it's been really, that's been another fantastic positive, is to see how people can come together when they really need to help the community. It's been fantastic. I applaud you guys for that. That's great. And Ernie, share with us too.
Well, from a challenging point of view, the onset of COVID, from an employee standpoint, we understood that there was uncertainty, mixed information. Scheduling was going to be an issue. We had a few lost employees. The biggest thing was the fear of the unknown. So that was the initial shock. But from a good point of view, everybody really bonded and came together as a family. So the positions you had initially weren't positions you had going through COVID. So it gave us the opportunity to train from the hostess to busboys, wherever, cross-train people to do every aspect of our restaurant duties. So that was the plus side in our organization. So luckily that we having a 8-year base of takeout and delivery customers, we were able to make those changes and implement. And I was able to assure my people, hey, we're going to be all right. We have, the ability to do things. We just have to do things a little different and do it how we do it. So that's basically that's what happened.
That's great. Probably gave you a great opportunity to reconnect with some of those customers too.
Absolutely. When they came in, yes, we did. There was a whole different a level of customer integration. We, of course, we do have a nice bar clientele with the regular people, but the people that normally just come in and don't sit at the bar, but I've always ordered, take on delivery, we'll be able to connect with them a lot better. So,
Yeah, that's great. So let's start talking about delivery and some of the specifics, because this is going to be a business model that you guys have continue to go with and grow. Well after COVID is just a terrible, terrible, nightmarish memory. But I have to ask before, and I know that So is pretty young in age, but have any of you guys used third-party delivery apps, or did you use them before you decided to implement a delivery model? Or did you just go straight into in-house delivery from the beginning?
For myself and my company, we've never used a third-party delivery system. When we first started delivering, there were no options for a third-party delivery, or none that nationally known. Maybe some local ones here and there, but we did not use it because we're pretty adamant about controlling our experience from phone call to the knock on the door, and we feel that's very important. And we just can't. I don't want to say trust other people handling our product and doing it the way we want it done. There's a way we knock on a door and we approach a customer. There's a way we hand off the food. There's a way we carry it. There's a way we put it in our car. There's a way we dress and present ourselves. There's a way, we have a standard, a very high standard, and we feel like if we can't control that, I don't know what that experience is when they're answering the door and someone else is delivering our product and our experience. It's important to understand that delivery is an experience. A lot of people equate going out to dinner as an experience and sitting in a restaurant, the ambiance and all that. And it is, because we have dining rooms as well, but also getting food delivered is an experience. It could make or break the whole meal if the driver, is carrying your food up like all crazy and doesn't have a hot bag. Because now when the food comes inside, you're saying, man, this is cold. Even though the food might be hot, but you don't see it in a hot bag. So your perception is reality. So you're saying, wow, how long was this not in a hot bag? Or it's not sealed. Is this someone opened it? There's so many things that you can control, that you can control the narrative of that experience before they even put it on their table. And that's just so important. That last mile, I think Min said earlier, is so important. It's vital to a customer experience and for them to call back and order again and have trust in us that we can provide a safe, our food is delicious when it comes, it's hot, it's edible, if you will, and they know it's safe and it's not been tampered with. So it's just, for me, it's I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but it's very, we need to control that whole experience from phone call or when you hit send on the internet to the knock on the door. So.
Yeah, there it is a trust issue. And I mean, as a not infrequent user of delivery myself, I've experienced all the issues that come with third-party delivery as a customer. From the missing item to the tampered item, to the slow item, to watching on the app as the driver drives in the wrong direction. That's always a frustrating one.
And one of sorry about that. And one of the things
that calling you for a pitch.
Yeah, and one of the things too, I had an experience. I have two little girls, and there's nothing more devastating than everyone getting their food and your little daughter doesn't have her little hamburger, whatever, the whole night is ruined then. So for me, and the hard part is if that does happen, I could control and send out something right away. You know what I mean? And then they know who to call when there's an error. You know, they know they can call me directly and we can handle it. We can fix it because mistakes happen. But if it's through Uber Eats, there's no way it's, or whatever, third party delivery, excuse me.
Yeah.
They don't know who to call.
So how about So? Why don't we check in with you guys?
So you could say that So was founded in response to the third-party delivery. I'll let Min share his story because he's the restaurateur. I'm the engineer. But I think because we felt like we were equipped to build those tools as we saw fit, and a lot of what Michael is saying resonates with me because that his mindset is the mindset of an entrepreneur, of a person who really understands the business and the customer and how to delight the customer. And by contracting out the tiny sliver of time a delivery business has a moment of contact, physical contact with your customer, by contracting that out to someone who's totally not working for you and you have no control over, it's just that's a poor decision in my opinion. And so absolutely, like we hire our own drivers, our own cars with our own wrap, our own designs. We know how clean that car is, and our own uniforms. And so we know exactly what the customer experience is all the way up to the door. And it's really only 5 seconds of customer interaction. And it's really important that we get that right. And so, that obviously we're not using third-party deliveries at all. And I want to caution all the restaurants out there that especially if you're managing like your Google business listings, your TripAdvisor and your Yelp listings, monitor it really carefully because the third-party delivery companies are on the prowl. They have methods to inject their services onto your listings without your permission. And you need to watch it like a hawk, make sure that it happened to us. Both of our stores got third-party delivery URLs injected into our delivery link on Google. And you got to go in there and wipe it ASAP. And so just a word of caution for all restaurants out there.
That's great. Thanks for mentioning that. There are a lot of interesting tricks out there.
Everything Michael and Angel said also resonates, and I echo everything they say. So's, like Angel mentioned, So started with this idea that we weren't going to contract or partner up with any third-party delivery based on my experience in my previous restaurants. My first introduction into the restaurant world was another Chinese American mom and pop restaurant in West Austin. And we had, 50% of our sales were delivery. And this was, 15 years ago. And everything was manual and analog back then. It was phone calls and then you write down tickets. We had a makeshift POS system that helped somewhat, but at the end of the day, all the ticket organization and routing, we had a MapsCo book, right? Where you had to find homes on a page number with a grid system, right? And so as we continue to get into other restaurants and when the third-party delivery generation really presented itself, it sounded great because their pitch or their marketing pitch to the restaurants or to us was that, hey, we're going to provide incremental sales beyond what you do for the dine-in and standard carryout. And so when we did the financial, analysis on that, you convinced yourself that the sunk costs or the fixed operating expenses wouldn't really apply to the third-party delivery sales because those expenses were going to happen whether those third-party delivery sales came in or not. And so the numbers made a little bit of sense and you made a little bit of margin in doing so. But in today's world, as we're trying to navigate COVID, many restaurants are fully dependent, if not, a big part of their business is highly dependent on these third-party delivery. But when you take a look at the simple math of simple restaurant finances and accounting, when the third-party delivery is taking approximately 30% right off the top, right? And then a lot of times, there's an additional merchant processing fee. I mean, Uber Eats can get as high as 35%. Grubhub can get as high as 37, 38% if you want higher rankings on their website. You take that, and then you take your typical 25 to 30% labor, your 25 to 30% cost of goods. You probably are paying somewhere around 5% to 10% on rent. You really have nothing left to make pure profits on. Again, if the idea was that it was incremental sales, there's some opportunity for some profits there. But in today's generation, that's a really big pill to swallow and difficult to swallow. And so we knew that in order for us to maintain the quality and control, I mean, so much of this is marketing and branding too, right? And so taking back control and owning your own drivers and your own employees, and in our case, our own vehicles, that's made a significant impact in really creating the brand that is So Chinese Delivery, which I think is critical.
That's great. That's wonderful insight. Thank you, Min. Ernie, have you ever used third party?
Yes, we do use third party temporarily. In 2012 we started with Grubhub only to help us sell our food, put our name out there. We have never used Grubhub delivery drivers. I was the #1 driver starting out, so that to perspective. But as we grew, I did have to take on other drivers. So our idea was to keep that separate and not include anybody else delivering our food. So our guys, definitely, the guys mentioned earlier, they take very pride in how our food is delivered and consistency. And the last thing that we want to know is that we did a bad job. So luckily, we've been able to maintain that. And a lot of our customers, you can look at our reviews and it's pretty consistent as to what we do. As far as like you guys mentioned, using the other third-party guys, initially we had no idea DoorDash and Favorite guys started infiltrating our business. And what made it difficult for us early on is they were calling these to-go orders, and at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, I had 15 to 20 to-go orders. Like, what the heck is going on? And we started having problems servicing our dine-in guests. But finally we figured it out, and we just started kicking them out. We hated to do it, but we had to, because you had 45-minute ticket times inside the restaurant. We had to make that change, and I definitely had to be more defensive and keep them out of our group. So, overall goal is to strategize and get away from the Grubhub platform. So we have done different things as of recently to make that separation, but it's our problem is, because we have a large customer base, is going to have to be a modest separation from what we do. So, but it's in the works. So definitely, I'm lucky that I have some people help me on my staff make this transition. So hopefully, in the next 2 months we'll be able to get that part. So, yeah.
That's a nice segue to the next thing I wanted to ask you guys about, but I'm going to give you a little bit of lead up as to why I'm asking the question. Since my law practice is 95% restaurants and bars, we've done a lot of negotiation of third-party delivery contracts when people actually think to ask us to do that. One of the most important things that we negotiate in those contracts is the liability shifting of who's responsible in case something happens to a food product between the time it leaves the restaurant and is delivered to the guest, and vice versa. So there's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of risk and variable in, what happens with the chain of custody, and, what happens if the sushi that arrives is gray and things like that. But when you take your delivery in-house, you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But have you found that it has been easy for you guys to respond to customer concerns. Do you feel like you're able to respond more reasonably? Do you feel like the guest is sort of less anonymous and more and kinder when they're reaching out to you, or do you feel like it's just like any other complaint? Because you have full responsibility from the time it leaves your dining room to the time it hits the doorstep. So how do you feel that it enhances or detracts from that customer interaction when it comes to something that's gone wrong?
Are we going to keep going in the same order, correct?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's mix it up.
Uh,
You're already talking, so go ahead.
so for
I'll change it.
for myself, I found it to be a complete opportunity to take care of the customer, and as a potential to keep the customer, it's an opportunity for us. If they call third party, it's transactional. It's pizza bought, pizza sold, pizza returned, pizza credit. It's just transactional. But when they call us for something that happened or a complaint, what have you, a mistake, whatever, it's an opportunity for us to regain that customer's trust and their business back immediately. So for us, that is so vital, because we never claim to bat 1,000. We don't bat 1,000, but we bat 1,000 at fixing it. That's kind of like our policy. So one of the things that we tell people is, we could instantly interact with them and get a feel of how upset they are, because you might be delivering to a family night watching a movie, or you might be delivering to someone who just got home from a hospital after a tragic accident and seeing someone in the hospital and they're really upset. So we can immediately gauge the level of importance that order was. You know what I mean? And you can almost react immediately. And like, ma'am, I know that you're having a tough night. I'm the owner of the company. I'm making it myself. I'm running it myself to your house right now. And immediately, one of the things that the first thing we say is to a customer is, what could we do to make it right immediately? It's the first question we ask, what can we do to make it right? And we call it, when we hit the nuclear button saying, I'll make it, I'll take it, deliver myself, and I'll run it, it changes the whole conversation. We control the narrative of that experience, and we can fix it. And we'll fix it no matter what. We'll make it free tonight, and we'll make it free tomorrow. But I feel like if you don't have that opportunity, that customer's just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. We had a client in April. In April, who and it was a pizza restaurant, multiple units, using third-party delivery, and had a relatively slow week. Didn't staff up so much for the weekend. Friday night at 5 o'clock, they ended up with 120 orders, and it completely. They were in the weeds for hours, and so because the first place they went was a Facebook forum for the neighborhood to talk about hitting the nuclear button. It was the other kind of nuclear button, and they nuked that place. And then, it was people texting me, hey, did you see this post? You need to reach out to the owner. And I did. And he said, man, I've already been on the Facebook post. I've already talked to these people, but it's snowballing out of control. That kind of thing, if they just pick up the phone and call you directly, is probably a lot less likely to happen.
That happening
so,
reduces for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I see all the time, being in an office building, I'll see a third-party delivery driver delivering on the way to a delivery somewhere, and I'll be maybe in the elevator with them and smell something wonderful and just see a brown bag, no branding, no indicia of where it came from, real missed opportunity, or the stamp's upside down or whatever, and it looks haphazard. It seems to me like you guys have taken this primarily as a marketing and guest management opportunity, and again, it's all about control. So before we jump into some of the other answers about this, I feel like this is a nice segue into a question we had up in the chat box from Tad, because as we come toward what is soon to be the end of the webinar, I want to make sure that we specifically talk to people that are on third-party delivery and really, really hate it. And they don't want to be there, but they don't know any other way to do it. And they're either nervous or unsure, or, they don't understand how the numbers work. And so, the other thing that happens in third-party delivery that is a terrible unintended consequence is that if you have a percentage rent component in your lease, you may be paying percentage rent on the gross revenue that's coming out of the third party before they take their net out, which is never hitting your bottom line. So you definitely will want to look at that. And if you can negotiate that out of your third party contract, you absolutely want to do that. But let's look up at Tad's comment where he said we did 60K last month with third party delivery. And when we run the rough numbers on cars and employees, it's breathtaking. How are you guys making good money at it? And I know you said you own the cars, and are the employees dedicated delivery employees, or are you repurposing servers, or how are you working it logistically? Let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts so that people might have at least the building blocks to go seriously consider, like, I might have the ability to implement my own delivery program, especially with millions of people unemployed these days. You know, the potential delivery driver market, it seems like it would be pretty ripe. So let's visit about that. Why don't we start with So on this one? Simply because you guys have, you're so tech heavy, and you basically built the entire concept around delivery. So let's talk about how you made it work monetarily.
Yeah, this one's a little bit of a complicated answer, and I don't know that there's one right answer for this, but the way we managed it is, well, so number one, you know, we're a free delivery and no tipping policy, and so we had to build that into the cost of our food. We have the fortune of selling a cuisine that has relatively low cost of goods. I guess I'm guessing similar to pizza and probably Mexican cuisine as well. And so we have a little more flexibility in that sense. But to answer, you know, Tad's question about, let's just take a look at the numbers. If you take a look at the numbers at 30%, just across the board for third-party delivery, then you can calculate or reverse engineer that and then find out how much would it cost as a percentage of sales for you to operate a fleet of your own drivers who are employed by you, W-2 employees. More often than not, people getting into the delivery business for the first time are likely going to want to get driver-owned vehicles and not company-owned vehicles just yet. Company-owned vehicles only really make sense when you start to have a huge economies of scale and you have a lot of orders that you can then batch, you know, 3, 4, 5 orders at a time to opt and have these route optimizations so that you have extremely high efficiency. But my first couple of restaurants, we had our own delivery crew and they used their own vehicles. You would encourage your drivers to speak with their insurance company and get the ability to drive their vehicles during the scope of work. It's usually a free endorsement or it's very inexpensive, but it also adds an extra layer of protection for you as a restaurant. You're also going to want to get the company non-owned vehicle insurance policy just for the additional liability. I'm sure David knows all about that too, right? And then, you know, for additional safety, you probably want an umbrella policy on top of all that. But for us, even though we charge no tipping or we charge no delivery fees and we have a no tipping policy, our percentage as a cost for delivering vehicles, for delivering food, this is including labor and cars and fuel and maintenance and all that, is under 20% for every dollar that we sell, which is far better than the 30+% that, you know, the third party charges. But in the meantime, we've controlled the marketing, the customer service, the branding. We control it all. And so, and that part of it is invaluable.
That's great. And you're right. That's the Ty, don't cut us off yet. Ernie, how did you determine your radius? How do you know exactly how far is too far?
Well, we have a limited 3-mile radius. We are a single unit restaurant, so, and with 2 kitchens. So that being said, it's only, we can only service, and also we're in an urban area where the population density is greater. So it's very difficult for us to go beyond a 3-mile radius. There's no way we can efficiently and effectively get our food in the quality way as people would like it. So, and also we do the way we package our food and the way we deliver it, we spare no expense, so to speak, and people appreciate the efforts that we put into that. And but definitely, I don't recommend if you're seeing a unit to go beyond that. especially if you have your own vehicle. So think about it, the radius. So if you're at the end of the radius, you're a 6 mile differential from one point A to point B, beyond that. So that's my best advice.
So did you start with a guess, or did you start with a map, a MapSco and a marker? And
Yes.
how did you decide what was right?
Well, that was a initial guess. I was just theorizing as to what could work for what we had. How long it would take to a 3 mile delivery probably takes about 10 minutes to get there, unless it's 5 o'clock traffic. But most deliveries don't usually start after 6. But that was there's some areas that we had. So maybe I'll just call it more of a limited 3 mile radius. But there's some areas that we just couldn't get to efficiently. So we had to maybe carve out a little bit of area in order to service everyone else. So, yeah.
That's great.
But Grubhub, that's one thing Grubhub did do, is provide that option. It's able to draw your boundary lines.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Sorry, are we about to have to wrap up? Okay, so hey, you're muted.
Yes, we're out of time. We are out of time, but I wanted to tell you guys, thank you so much for participating in this session for the TRA Marketplace 2020. We enjoyed you. Don't forget, all week we have some amazing sessions going on our stages. Log into tramarketplace2020.com.
Thanks everybody so much.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
guys.
attending, and thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
Yes,
You
stay safe.
too. Keep delivering.
Awesome.